To our Thursday subscriber stream with game analysis. You're this close. Don't do it again. Seriously. Don't do it again. I don't want to have to ban you, Bob. I really don't want to have to do it. So, today's subscriber stream, guys. Serious analysis. Someone on sound? Yeah, I was joking with someone on sound. He usually comes only for the simul streams. I thought maybe he was confused. Today, I've got a quote from the Panda. He says, "No brain, no pain." That's kind of my way of thinking about the subscriber stream, where we actually analyze games. Most people online, and I mean strong players included, they don't want to actually think. They would much rather just throw the pieces around in a 1-minute game than constructively approach the game, which actually requires thought and pain, is what I'm getting at. Pain and suffering helps you to grow. No brain, no pain. That's our Thursday catchphrase. So, for those of you who like to suffer, I'm not sure Bob qualifies, but he's here with us. We've got move 11, save a dog, and the ambulance is on the way. If you are in pain, I'm not sure it's going to help you. It's very hot suddenly again, like summer. Move 11, save a dog, Astrobate, Jim, LVN, someone on sound. Oh, someone on sound did submit a game? Is this right? Am I crazy? Someone on sound actually submitted a game. That's why he's here. Didn't even remember. Okay. And then Stefano and Bob. So I was joking with you. I totally forgot. It wasn't that long ago. You're actually toward the bottom of the list. I totally forgot. It's so alien. I just never thought someone on sound submit a game for the subscriber stream. Guys, this is my way of saying thank you for being subscribers. Let's keep the numbers up. So Panda here welcomes all you guys. We're going to do some serious analysis now. Pure suffering and hard work. The first one on the list, so I'm going to go to his game first. I'm a fair guy. Your new life has me starting at 5:30 every morning. That sounds like when my mom was sick. That's not a good memory. I had to wake up at 5:32. Not a morning person. I think that somehow someone on sound, you're going to do better than me with the 5:30 life. All right, move 11 is the first game. We will go over games here submitted by the subscribers. Where's move 11? Move 11, submission for subscriber stream. Okay, game 1 in the study, a blitz game I played on lichess as black. Guys, please support the stream. I cannot afford to do this without you. It's an investment of time. It's a labor of love to a great extent, but it's also an investment of time. So if anybody can give a little bit back, feed a little bit back with a donation, or I need your assistance to keep the stream going. So please do so. But anyway, I still want to thank everybody for subscribing, and I consider this our subscriber stream. So this is move 11 against custom 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 3. Is it 3-0? No, 3-second increment. Okay. 3 plus 3. Kind of a strange time control. I just wanted to say today thank you to lichess for being so on top of. Before we get started, lichess is on top of computers. I lost to 1,000 today, 1,000 rated player who used an engine against me. Very quickly they consulted my analysis and found this cheater guilty, banished him from lichess. I thought it was funny. A funny thing happened though. I said, look, I've lost all my rating points and I need some of these back. And the funny part was like I got a rating refund, but I lost like 43 points, and they send me back 35. I'm not gonna complain again. You know, it's like they say at Christmas time. It's the thought that counts. I'm not gonna complain and say, hey, I'm sure a lot of crazy chess players would do that. I don't care about 7 or 8 points or whatever. I just thought it was an amusing anecdote to share with you guys. Hourly arena, it seems like I either get like a 2300 or 1000 when I enter one of those. It's just something totally crazy. Somehow the way the pairing system works, I entered the arena late, and when you do that, it just seems like there's two possibilities. You're either at the top of the list or the bottom of the list. So either I'll like immediately get a master, or I'll get someone who's like 1100. You know, it's ridiculous. I was kind of angry with the guy who cheated though, because it was funny. He cheated for like 5 games in a row, and then he played another IM. In the middle of his other game with the other IM, he stopped cheating and let the guy win. I mean, I guess he thought like somebody was onto him or something. But I was like kind of insulted. Like, why did you like fully cheat against me the whole game, and you didn't beat the other IM too, you know? But anyway, just a funny analogy. But lichess, I'm glad. You know, at least they're on top of things. Even if they gave me a chintzy refund. Maybe there's like a rating point tax or something on the refunded points. They take 10% off the top. They donate them to Magnus. What happens to my 8 points? Anyway, alright. All in good fun. But move 11, we'll take a look at your game here. Karen Baran is challenging me to 1-0 now, dude. I don't play 1-0 chess. Watch my streams. Tell me last time. No brain, no pain. Look, there's what it says right there in purple letters. No brain, no pain. 1 minute chess is no brain. If you play 1 minute, that's what it's about. It's having no brain. This is the opposite of 1 minute chess. We're actually going to analyze the game here. All right, so let me turn off the engine. E4, C5, move 11 is black. It's a 3+3. And now the annoying bishop C4. Bob has played this. Bob and Astrobate have played this both against me quite a few times. The so-called, what happened with the Pondicam? Something? Bob and Astrobate are experts on the Bodler attack. But in all seriousness, whereas this move isn't so good against other third moves for black, like E6, for example, it's definitely not good. You know, knight C6 is marginal, probably not very good. Against D6, it's actually pretty good, because black will have to spend an extra tempo, moving the D pawn a second time. And against G6, it seems fairly good. Zoning in on F7. At the end of the day, it all depends on how well black is set up to play E6 and D5. That basically tells you how good bishop C4 is. If black is well set up to play E6 and D5, then bishop C4 is probably not very good. Stefanos asks, is there any way to equalize against bishop C4? It's not that easy, you know. I don't think that it's bad against G6. I remember International Master Vida Albert played it against me. I won, but I wasn't super happy with my game. Okay, bishop G7. One thing we've learned by playing Bob and Astrobate and other people here on my stream is that knight C6 is not as accurate. We don't want to prioritize the queenside knight move to C6 because it gets hit by C3 and D4. The position can transpose to a C3 Sicilian type line where knight C6 is actually kind of dominated by the C3 pawn. So I think this is a very important position for black to play accurately, and I'm not sure you can fully automatically equalize. Bishop C4 is quite valid here. You know, it may not be that easy. Bishop G7 is correct. Another interesting move that I've looked at is knight F6. This is kind of experimental. Well, speaking of knight F6, Bob, there's not a lot of analysis, but you can play knight F6 here. Knight F6, of course, famously played by me against Vladimir Kopian. The H4 knight F6 is my invention. which didn't work out over the board, but it was a good contribution to theory. A little bit similar after bishop c4, also an aggressive move. Knight f6 is interesting. I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. You can look for yourself. I mean, for example, knight f6, e5, and we can play d5. And this, we should probably check with the engine, is equal, according to the Stockfish. But white doesn't have to play e5. White should play something controlled here, you know. I mean, maybe just quietly playing d3. It's not refuted, Bob. Not at all. So bishop g7, now c3. This is the best move. And we've looked at this quite a bit with move 11. e6 is what we're mostly going for. I think d6 is playable, though I don't really love it. The one move you don't want to play is knight c6, which I blundered against Bob before on the stream. This gets amazingly bad quickly for black after knight c6. Very, very dangerous. The white score is excellent now against knight c6, so the best process is probably what he did here, e6. And then white should act quickly. So this is just ridiculous. Bishop e3. It's like slow, you know. White needs to act now while the offer is free. Act now. You have to strike here quickly. That's the whole idea before black is set up. I mean, this move here played by Dorfman or whatever, Godena against Dorfman. Okay, bishop b3 is fine, but it's not a critical move. You have to go for it. So this looks critical, and we've had these with Bob. Look, there's Gusenov lost 2 games after d4. d4, maybe d5? Is it possible to play d5? Agnes Kariuski, welcome. So d5 is a novelty. e5, bishop check. This looks interesting. Check, bishop d7, queen e2 check, knight e7. We end up here maybe with an isolated pawn. So even if we get this pawn back, I don't like the structure that much. It looks like move 11 does it correctly. Best play here. But this move is very strange. Too slow. So knight e7. It's a good question whether you should play d5, as Dorfman did. Probably doesn't matter that much. I don't think we can safely say that black equalizes completely. You would think after bishop e3 he would, though. I mean, bishop e3 is such a slow move. We could play knight c6 now. It feels like we've had a little extra time. We gain a little bit extra time. But I don't see anything better than black's d5. White is still a little bit better. Looks like a Kopeck Sicilian. Quick draw. Godina actually tried to sack a pawn now. And white's slightly better. Alright, let's check out the game. Bishop e3, knight e7. I'm going to turn off the engine. Guys, please support the stream. Who can we thank this week? Mr. Slowhand with 1,000 bits, Jim with 500, and Oms on Twitch with 123. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. WJ Loof as well with 100. Don't forget to support your chess streamer. Thank you so much, guys. Alright, cheer your way to the top. I'm trying to get rid of that. So I'm going to focus d3. See, this is nothing. d3 is nothing. You know, it's totally non-critical. How weak is the black position now? Not e6 has been played, though. Someone in town, are you doing a lot of trolling on like political websites and stuff? Autocomplete. How weak is the black position now that e6 has been played, though? Yeah, I mean, it's always a little bit weaker. It is. It is. If you really hate it, you could play knight f6 on move 3, like I'm talking about. It's not that bad. I suspect that bishop b3 is slow, but white has to play d4, clearly. You have to play d4, black probably has to take, white will take with the pawn, and then black will play d5. And then white probably will play e5, and I assume we'll have this kind of position where white has more space. I'm not really in love with this, to be honest with you. Which makes bishop b3 look sneakier than I thought. So by playing this move, he's actually preempting black. Maybe move 11's 97 is a serious issue. But what are we going to do if you play d5 and white plays e5 anyway? We now have c4 with ensuing weirdness. So maybe we can make a conclusion here that this move order is unnecessary. There's really no reason to insert 97. I think you're giving white an extra chance to play this, like take, d5, e5 with a slight advantage. Probably we'd be better off not allowing that. Just play d5 right away. Now if he plays e5, you have these other moves like c4, some other alternatives. It reminds me of a game I once lost with black against someone on sound. If you go knight f6, you don't really want to play knight f6 with the pawn on e6 for the most part. Not to say it's not possible, but I mean, obviously, you know, the bishop's diagonal is important. The f-pawn's ability to move. I mean, generally, we wouldn't have played e6 if we intended to put our knight on f6. There are exceptional situations, though. So, Stefanos, I mean, maybe you could play knight f6 here. It's a bit unnatural. Maybe it's not that bad. This is the problem, e5, if knight d5. Maybe it's not that bad. It's like a c3 Sicilian. It's a weird early g6, c3 Sicilian. Okay, so e6, bishop e3. Tricky move, actually. Now knight e7. White should play d4. He does not do it. After d3, I think it's harmless. White's basically playing a kind of Kopek Sicilian. Castles. My personal preference is to kind of wait for white to commit himself before I commit myself. But probably it's okay. You are going to get, like, some people are going to go berserk now and play something like h4. You know, this is played in the King's Indian attack. I think move 11 I would feel a little bit safer waiting for white to castle before I castle myself here. Maybe we have less to worry about. You want this color. You're logged in from different. So, okay, this is a strange move that we see sometimes in the closed Sicilians to provoke weakenings. LVN played this against me, wasn't it? In the closed Sicilian. Maybe here it's not a big deal. H6. Clearly, the bishop could get stuck out of play. I expect him to play bishop e3. The idea would be that white could later gain time attacking h6 with a battery. I didn't expect him to play bishop h4. g5 is definitely a possibility. It does feel like black's a little underdeveloped. Now white castles. Here, I'm a little concerned about bishop g3, bishop d6. Fortuna Chess Coach, thanks for joining us for our serious game analysis with subscribers. Guys, this is no bullet chess, just absolute analysis of real games submitted by the subscribers. Trying to learn something here. So white castled. I actually like the fact that he wasn't committed to castling. Now d5. d5 is fine, but I'm really interested in playing like g5, bishop g3 to shut this bishop down. The only problem is the d6 square. If I just had like one more move, probably black would be fine. So I'm not going to go with that. d5 though. d5 is interesting in the fact that white can't play e5 without dropping a pawn here. So you're striking in the center before he has time. It's also possible to play d6. It's like if d4, g5, g4, and white will probably fall. The key central pawn will fall. I agree d5 is not a bad move. I think this is a matter of style. It's probably possible to play d6 or d5. Maybe d6 too passive? I don't see any problem with it. We're actually threatening g5, knight g6 like a hippo, with really good control of the dark squares. For black, I don't think you should be afraid to do that. Troll on a Roll is somewhat of a chess coach, apparently. So, I actually didn't know that, Troll. Now, white can play pawn takes pawn, but as you imagine here, good and bad things occur. I'd really like to take with a knight, but it drops a queen. Then we have a huge structural advantage, I think. Backwardness for white along the d file. Now we take with the e pawn. There's good news and bad news. Fortuna Chess Coach, can you tell us the good news and the bad news? Besides the good news that he gifted a tier 1 sub to Troll on a Roll, that's good news. What about this position? What's the good news and what's the bad news? Does anybody want to guess? What's the strategic good news and the strategic bad news for black in this position? Mostly it's good news. The good news is that this bishop is liberated. You could say there's more space with a strong center, yeah. The bad news, I'm not concerned about the queen pin, because we have g5. It's really a strong move in this kind of structure. The bad news is the structure is symmetrical, and I think that makes it difficult to win games. I don't like the symmetrical structure in playing for a win, but we can deal with it. I think black is slightly better. This is a big threat of playing g5 now. So, my first inclination is to play g5. g5, knight f5, g5, bishop g3, knight f5, and probably white has some issues. What does he do? There's no way he's sacking a piece here. He has to play this. We also have to look at winning a piece with f5, f4. I mean, Korchnoi Stefan Sabo, which I've talked about a lot, from Bucharest 1953. That's a really important game, analyzed in one of my favorite chess books, Modern Chess Opening Theory by Sweden. Korchnoi uses, Sweden uses the game Korchnoi won against Stefan Sabo in a similar opening with colors reversed to illustrate the concept of coordination of pawns and pieces. White has all these pieces outside the skeleton of the pawns on b3, f3, and g3. So now the pawns, you got to think about f5 could be a good move. White would have to play h3, and you could just sandwich that bishop down on h2. I'm not too worried about black here. I think we're better. Maybe you could just move the king, or this is not a bad move. This is not a bad move. This is certainly a way to play. The other way to play is to go for his bishop with knight f5. It's like a lot lower risk. You might even have fantasies of like h5 here. Ultimately, I mean, you may have to take the bishop at some point, and black will just be slightly better. So this move here, bishop g4, I don't know. I mean, it seems like he plays h3, and it's actually a constructive move for white. You know, you could argue that it weakens his king's side, but you can also argue that it gives his bishop a retreat square back to h2. What are you going to do? I think we have to play... We can't give up our white square bishop for nothing. Unless, well, you want to... What do you want to do? Yeah, we can't. So, if h3, what are you going to play? Probably bishop e6. But the difference is now this bishop can go here and you can't get it off the diagonal. After h3, knight f5. Well, after h3, knight f5, we're losing a piece. Knight f5. We're losing a queen, yeah. I don't like bishop g4. But I don't, you know, rook e1 is kind of a neutral move. And now g5. So he woke up and found it. The basic idea. So this is okay. We got away with it now. Not exactly, because white has h3. See, this is a problem. h3. And we don't want to trade. So he sort of tricked us. Now we don't garner his bishop pair anymore. We were swindled. Bishop h5, and I mean, obviously white has to consider playing bishop h2 here. What else? Do you really want to give up your bishop? Was he afraid of this? Because I'm not sure it's that big a deal, you know, frankly. That's really what he has to do. Instead, he played this move. I don't like it. You know, now we have a kind of long-term advantage. Not to mention, like, that piece is horrendous at c2. This is awful. It's like playing queen c7 in the King's Indian. This is nowhere to go. You know, that's why you don't put the queen on c7 in King's Indians. That's good. Keeping him tied down. Stopping d4. Nice solution by white, though. Alright. So now we have a problem. He's going to play bishop c2. Try to solve his problem with d4. That's great. I don't know if knight f1 is a good move. His other option is to play g4, weakening his dark squares worse. And this is why white didn't want to let that bishop go. Rook a e8, I'm not sure about. It's not a bad move. What else can black do here? See, the thing is, if he plays bishop c2, you know, he might be able to play d4. Maybe we think about, we can play d4 ourselves to stop him. And the other thing is that, honestly, if he does play d4, it's going to drop a pawn. So we're probably not panicking here. I don't think rook e8 is a bad move. But I don't want to trade all the pieces off. He's still not really threatening anything. So move 11 probably blinks a little bit early here. I don't know if white has a real threat. d4 drops a pawn. Unless there's some variation with taking on c5, but that's not possible. That's check. So maybe there's some way here that white can be pushed without black committing to d4. It's still probably good for black, though. d4 is probably good. Come to think of it. Move 11 has probably been watching my video series on Botvinnik. on exploiting space advantages. Basically, white has really no choice but to play the awful c4 now. This is a threat, I would say. Unloading that bishop with bishop a4. I agree rook a2, rook e2 is a move, but it's probably maybe premature. Looks like he could even play this. Probably bishop d1 or something. This isn't bad. But now we need a way to make progress. This threat. I mean, even knight b4 is good. You're just begging for rook e3. I mean, this is just playable but fancy move syndrome. It doesn't really do anything. Move 11 is just clearly better. I'm not crazy about this. Queen d1, now knight b4. Okay. I don't mind if I'm white, like giving you my bishop. Now it's just gotta consider sacking the exchange here. Oftentimes the way to win a game is to break, the position's sort of symmetry, create some kind of imbalance. I would seriously consider sacking the exchange, like knight d3, bishop e8, queen e8. Consider it, I said. Maybe it's too much. The other way is obviously possible too, but bishop takes, queen takes, a3, bishop e2. This is also possible. But I'm not convinced. This pawn is really, really massive, though. So we see the evaluation in this position is equal. Now black is slightly better after bishop e2. So move 11 has options to try to sack the exchange. We're not happy about that. So it feels like we lost time. What if we cash in here? Black is better, but it's very hard. These knights are extremely solid. 2 bishops against 2 knights, not easy to break down. Yes, to play g4 is definitely a good idea. White's seeking a white square bind. Probably he should try to play g4. I agree. Anyway, I don't want to spend the whole stream on one game, so rook d6 was a good idea. But ultimately, trading pieces is not going to win the game here. I think the more we exchange, the closer we get to a draw. Now he's got maybe b4 too. White went for exchanges instead. Perhaps b4 is too risky. I don't know. I mean, you obviously have to consider this. I mean, maybe black shouldn't trade anything. But I think white is consolidated pretty well. Like you say, g4, knight g3, focus on e4, maybe this. Still, it's not that easy, though. He's tied down. Should you trade queens here? What does the engine think? Yes. I would definitely consider queen d7. I'm not sure that Stockfish can think strategically, in practical terms, about not trading queens. Just calculation. We don't want to trade more. It's surprising he didn't trade there. I would definitely trade pieces on f3 and maybe then play king f2. The truth is that it's probably a draw now. You can try, but I don't think that black is winning. It's just too symmetrical. That was the bad news I told you before. The bad news is that it's too symmetrical. A5 is not going to change anything. Should be a draw. Force field. It seems like a force field. I'm not sure that white has to do anything special. Maybe he should play A4. Though there's no rush. That's definitely not good. Maybe this knight move was a mistake. Please do my game next. I have to leave soon. Oh, that costs extra. HTFP, you have to be tier 2 for early games. But you were next anyway. So you... First of all, he is tier 2, so my joke was stupid. And he's second. Haha, you're second anyway. I have another one for you. You're next in the list anyway. So double lol. Alright. G4, bishop G6, knight D2, king E5. Now this could change the situation if it gets in there. Now the bishop comes back. It's still a draw. Poor guy. Even if he plays knight E4, gets pinned, it's still a draw. This is a blunder. It may still be a draw, but there's absolutely no reason for white to give you the F4 square for your king here. There's still no way to win. Move 11 gets credit for a desperate attempt. Nice job. Well, I shouldn't say no way to win, but no way to win if the defender plays perfectly. This is interesting, though. We get that A pawn. There's still a chance. Oh boy. And now white's lost. So you did a good job. I think instead of that, did you have another move? Let's see. Is he lost? He's lost, right? He can't save this pawn. King C2. I suspect it was a draw, but move 11 kept trying. And now it's over. Alright, guys. A little bit of a lucky win there, but you gotta try. People are horrible in endgames. More and more so than ever was the case. So, white should have held that. I'm not sure exactly where the advantage became decisive. I think it's probably a draw on opposite color bishop endgame. Here, initially, clearly he never should have pulled his king off of F3. But let's say, like your king, let's see, your king was on E5. Then he plays, well, alright, I guess here. You go here, 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 here. And now you're threatening to take and play this pawn stack with D3. I mean, I guess there's various ways to play this. If he had put his king on E2 instead, this is not a big deal. Anyway, it should be a draw. I'm almost certain. Okay, good job, move 11, staying with it. A lot can be improved in that game. Just because it's tier 2, I'm going to go over HTFP's game next. I'm getting confused. That was a long one. Get your games in early, because I always spend more time on the early games. Okay, guys. Thanks for the gift sub from Fortuna Chess Coach to Troll. Troll is an old friend of the stream. Definitely a good gift sub. Alright, where am I? So, Save a Dog, where are you? Where are you? There's move 11. There it is, right in front of me. This is for Thursday. Could you please review the game titled Me versus Dad? Lockdown. It was a classical length game. Chess Dad. That's my new. It's gone from Dad to Igor Foigl. We gotta take what we can get. Quarantine chess. Okay. This is me versus Dad. So Dad played e6. Now, I don't even know what I play here. I don't play a lot of e4. I sort of handpick my e4 games. I played mostly knight b5 in this position. Knight b5 can transpose to a Sveshnikov. But I mean, there's so many different lines. I've also played g3 in a recent game. Saberdog, I don't know about you. Saberdog was playing a lot of like other stuff, so he hasn't always played e4. I guess knight takes c6 is one of the other main lines. f4. Is this a move? Suggested by Spectacular Camo, who always has rather interesting ideas. f4. I assume bishop e4 is the problem. f4, bishop b4. And I'm not quite sure what we do. I'm not sure that f4 is really trustworthy. This bishop b4 is a big issue. That's why I like to play knight b5. It's simple. If bishop b4, a3, we just play like that. And if d6, we transpose to a Sveshnikov, no problem. That's my favorite. All right. g3 is another solid option. So you play knight c6. This is the one I know the least. I had one game on the stream where I played this line. I've never really known this very well. And this is important. Theoretically, there's a lot of games. You can see 1,500 games, but the variation is really crazy. In general, it's kind of funny. In general, the rule of thumb is that knight takes c6 is typically not a good move. The advanced players here know that. In most Sicilians, it's not a good move. You're trading something illogically here. This is clearly a well-placed centralized knight. White has spent 2 moves to get it to the center of the board where it's dominant. And if black exchanges, it brings our queen out to a strong square where it's centralized. The only reason for this move to be played is this advance e5, which becomes possible. I was thinking about this a while back. It's strange, but this is not that bad for black. Saberdog. I guess Dad didn't want to go for this, but if Dad wants to play for a draw, maybe. Not quite as bad as you would think, though there's nobody really good that's attempted this. It seems like black can legitimately play for a draw here. Though you have to kind of like enjoy suffering, be sort of masochistic, I guess, to play this. But it's not as easy as you would think for white to prove an advantage in this line. Just I wanted to mention that. So, like for example, if Bob ever gets a chance to play, I don't know, Magnus Carlsen in a simul or something, he probably wants to play, d takes c6 and see if Magnus can grind him down in the endgame. But b takes c, e5, knight e5, and now the move is knight e4. Boris Privman, my favorite blitz opponent. My favorite live blitz opponent. All right, so knight d5. Maybe Saberdog didn't know this, but all the variations are based on knight e4. This is the idea. You keep pieces on the board. You can oust the knight with c4 later in the right moment. It's very tricky about that, by the way, when that should be played. And clearly, you avoid exchanges in a position where you have more space, and you look for those weak squares. g5, d6, c5, etc. It's the only way to play. You know, it's not a question. The way you're playing here is, you know, I assume that knight takes d5 is like equal or something. Most likely, most of the time, when you're white and you make a mistake, you're not losing, or worse, you're just equal. This kind of inaccuracy, like knight takes d5, probably leads to an equal game. But clearly, I mean, you're bringing this pawn to the center. So this is definitely a mistake. Now he develops the bishop to the best square. So here, it's interesting. I would assume black could play bishop a6 to trade the bad bishop. I try not to look at the hints over there, but that's a common tactical trick based on queen a5 check and take. I would wonder if white could try something funky here like queen g4, but because this just doesn't look like a very big deal. You know, castles, bishop takes d3, followed by like bishop e7. I was wondering if black, you know, or queen g4, is this a move? Could we possibly try to play something a little bit interesting here with white? Your dad did play bishop a6, so dad is an advanced player. Is dad is white, right? Yeah. I mean, dad's black. Dad is an advanced player. Interesting. He knows about bishop a6. Of course, if you play this variation, it's probably a very common theme. Most dads aren't that strong. Bishop a6, castles. Now bishop takes d3. Both captures possible. This is an interesting strategic decision. How do we decide which way to take? The one thing that comes to mind for me, the d5 pawn is really strong. We could possibly undermine it with c4 if we play queen takes. But I really don't know which is better. It's very difficult to say. Either way, black's going to have kind of pressure down these open lines. So white has a little bit of space with e5, but I feel like white is a little more overextended. Queen d3, g6. Why is dad playing g6? It seems to me that bishop already has a diagonal to develop itself. g6 creates more weaknesses. It's not like the most efficient move. I guess my choice would be bishop e7 here for dad. Just probably he's thinking strategically that you're going to play for f4, f5, and maybe he'll end up needing to play g6 anyway. So I thought g6 was slightly odd, but it's probably not such a bad move, and not so easy to take advantage of. If bishop g7, truthfully g6 isn't that bad. Here, and now you played, let's see, bishop e3. White played c4 in a game. Boring draw, let's go home. The e5 pawn's a little overextended, but it ensures space. So, Steinitz Jr. Yeah, I don't know. Anchoring that pawn on e5. Your bishop is a bad bishop, but it's actually quite influential. What is it called? The active bad bishop. Good piece. Restricting black here. So he decides to play bishop e7. It's actually not bad. Keeping the bishop actually mobile on both diagonals rather than the automatic bishop g7. Don't go into the telegraph business. Very subtle move now. Rook c1. I don't know about that. Black could play bishop g5, by the way. Why not rook a c1 if you want to play rook c1? Then you could meet like bishop g5 with f4. If you must drink Pepsi, if you must drink and drive, drink Pepsi. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay, c4. Yeah, this is an odd move, dude. He could just play bishop g5. You played rook c1 and then you played c3. You changed your mind. Bad bishops defend strong pawns. Good quote. I don't know, man. I mean, it seems like he could play bishop g5. What's the problem? Maybe it forces you to make a good move. Like rook e1. Well, let's think of a good plan here, other than rook c1. Saber Dog has to go soon. Any suggestions from the peanut gallery? Someone on sound? You're a thoughtful person. Raise your hand. That's interesting. I'd be tempted to take the c-pawn and try and push on the queen side with my majority. Take the c-pawn? Take with the c-pawn and push with the majority. Well, you have the majority anyway, someone on sound. You don't need to take with the c-pawn to have a queenside majority. You could do that anyway. But I understand what you're saying. Like, there's less liability for black. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important moment in the game where here, definitely, I would be thinking about it. I think it's a really tough decision, and I'm sure, like, the engine isn't really sure which way to go. I'm sure that black is okay here, either way, though. That much I really feel, I trust. This is not a dangerous position for black. Yet, white still needs to find a plan. I mean, this is important that we have a queenside majority. I agree. But what the heck is the plan? Okay, rook c1, this is the best I could do. It's almost like you wanted to play c4 and then you changed your mind. But then why is our rook here? You're really going to like play rook c2? This is very strange. I don't really get it. Seems like that is better. That's not very dangerous. I think that is pushing expert level. Honestly, like, I don't know about this A player thing. He seems very solid and correct. Now all your pawns are on the wrong color, but you might have a plan with h4, h5. Dad's not afraid. I mean, it seems like you should probably play rook b1 to ensure you can play b3 at all at this point. Now you're trying to play c4 anyway. Oof, nasty. I mean, he could certainly play queen c4 and just laugh at you. That's what he did. Peter Balkus raiding with a party of 6. Man, these ambulances are killing me. We're getting raided by ambulances. Welcome, Peter Balkus. Thank you for the raid. It's just too hot to close the window. I'd love to turn it off. Very humid at the moment. I mean, they're freeing a lot of hospital beds for more coronavirus patients. That was probably an ambulance taking a lady with, like, he's probably transporting an 80-year-old dementia patient back to her house in a village so that there's more free beds in the hospital. This is a good move. So, Saber Dog, man. Rook b1 wouldn't have helped, right? We'd have been in the same quandary. We could seriously be in trouble now. Man, Dad played great. Dad is great. He gives us chocolate cake. Queen c4. Man, now we're groveling for a draw. I thought you were supposed to be stronger than Dad. Queen takes, yeah, probably bribery goes a long way in the coronavirus bed business. Queen takes c4, rook takes c4. Now, I would also consider d takes c4 here for dad. I mean, this is a serious issue. When he takes with the rook, if you play b3, it's pass pawn. Dad didn't sense the danger. Dad became overconfident now, it looks like. Because that, in my department, where I come from, this is called a pass pawn. Now we have a pass pawn. And anybody knows pass pawns are strong. If you saw the game, the Pomniachi versus Ding Liren from the Candidates tournament, we'll introduce you to passed b pawn. Strongly recommended game to analyze. But sack the a2 pawn. It looks pretty like unlikely. I mean, okay, you should think about it, no doubt. You know, you definitely should consider sacking the a pawn, but I just don't see it even remotely working. White is just screwed here. Now this is a weakness. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. You have to trade queens. He's really lucky that he can play b3. You know, now is an interesting decision. Maybe Dad shouldn't take on b3. It's so automatic to take, to open the A file, but he was thoughtful and didn't do it routinely. Auto capture. Barry. It seems like we've said this before, but Simon Williams is a chess sexist. He calls all of his pawns male names. Just not right, you know, with the Me Too era. It's just not, it's not correct. Should be taken out on that. But, all right. Good move by Dad. Well, you've got the pass B pawn, but it's probably a draw. It's a draw, man. The position is a draw. It is kind of an interesting question, though, what white should do here. We want to inch the king closer to the center, I think. Probably the best bet. At some point, Dad will play d6 and undermine your center. I guess c4 might be enough for equal, but I thought we might be a little better here. So king f1. If you must play for a win, I don't think c4 is going to do it. All right, guys, we got to move it along a little bit faster because I love analyzing, but we've got 10 games to go to, and we've already used up an hour. We only have an hour and a half left. 8 games to get to. So where's the end of the game? c4. Now it's really nothing. This is still a dangerous pawn here for black on a4. Now it's just a draw. I thought maybe Dad should play d takes c. What about d takes c? Is this better for Dad? I mean, his a pawn is actually kind of an asset. You know, I would think Dad is better. Dad basically is being kind of nice to let you off the hook with a takes b. Now, maybe, you know, you'll have to draw 5 versus 4 rook endgame. God forbid you lose both pawns. Then you're lost if it's 5 against 3. If you drop both your c and e. I mean, you lose the e pawn, you'll probably lose too. If you get to a 5 and 4 rook and this is like kind of overextended, you'll hold. Yeah, maybe Dad should blockade. Maybe blockading is worth the investment here. Doesn't care. I would think like you could go active now. You should probably play like Rook B1. Dad could get mated. What is he doing? He's a little overly optimistic with that king adventure. I think that the thing about king in the endgame that I've noticed, the magic number of pieces is 2. When it comes to like centralizing the king in the endgame, 2 is always where the process usually starts. Especially here, we have 3 pieces on the board, and that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of pieces that can attack. It's really dangerous for Dad to be bringing his king out. You know, you could get him with the bishop and 2 rooks. If you get the rooks down on the 8th rank, he's going to get mated. That was a little bit risky. He's definitely fearless. This is like helpmate, virtual helpmate. Okay, rook c8, he came to his senses. Rook b7, rook c7, and now c6. And we're all wondering about the cheapo, bishop here. Just a shameless cheapo. So rook c6. Rook c6, bishop b6 check. King c8. Doesn't work, does it? Rook c6, rook c6, dc6, bishop check, king e8. What's this? That's winning for white, wow. That's what he did, it's a blunder. Well, DC certainly loses. I didn't see the win immediately. What am I missing here? Oh no. You have this. Shit. Dad missed that. I missed it too. Poor Dad. But Dad kind of gets what he deserves for bringing his king out early. I mean, that seemed a little bit over the top to bring the king out in that dangerous position with 3 pieces on the board. He was a little bit overconfident. Let his guard down. That was a nice little trick, though. And drops a piece. That's it. Yeah, no, I mean, it should be a draw. But what was the best move? He's put himself in a dangerous and precarious situation. c6 was a great try. Threatening bishop b6. What does he have now? I mean, you can't sack the exchange. There's a strong threat, a rook b8 check, among other things. If rook b7, clearly white's winning. What does that leave for black? Like king c8? Does king c8 just work? Just works. It's the only move. That's kind of hard to find, you know. This has to be it, right? Now, there's nothing. End of the line. Poor Dad. King c8 stops everything. Okay, guys, on to the next game. Thanks for sharing. Good battle. Dad needs to learn not to be so overconfident. All right, but opening was better for Dad. All right, guys, we're going to go to the next game. Astrobate is up quickly. Running behind here. Thanks everybody for joining my stream. International Master William Pascal, please support the stream. We could really use your donations. If you can afford it, please donate. And you can also make a donation via PayPal or Streamlabs streaming donations. Mr. Coffee, I'd like to thank you for being our moderator. Mr. Coffee doesn't get enough thanks. So if you can't donate, just send a thank you to Mr. Coffee. All right. Astrobate is up next, if I can find it. Great analysis, but I'm spending too much time on these games. So, Thursday analysis game submission, lichess, rapid chess. Gomolov versus Astrobate. Gomolov. Alright, Astrobate is black. Astrobate ran. He loves to write like long messages. Alright, e4, b6, d4, bishop b7. What did I do? What have I clicked? Here we are in the same position from last week, no? In a rather funny irony, I saw a recent game where Astrobate played white in a similar position. So e5 right away, I am not familiar with this move. Played by Wróblewski, Akopian. Well, clearly either knight e4 or knight d5. There's really no other choice. I think usually you go knight e4 because when white responds by bishop d2, you have the option to take that piece with knight takes d2. Knight d5 has been played in a couple games. It doesn't seem quite as strong. But Astrobate here, theoretical novelty, bishop takes c3 check. My first fear with bishop takes c3 check is, of course, like a bishop getting on a3 and strafing this diagonal. But generally speaking, Astrobate, and you kind of should know this intuitively, never release the tension before you have to. At least in the early stages of the opening. That usually goes for both sides. It's like a game, the chess opening is kind of like a game of chicken when played correctly. And in order to play it right, you're not supposed to release the tension first. The other problem is that when you go like bishop takes c3, and if you play knight e4, I don't know, I think he could probably sacrifice that pawn on c3. If we were to play, let's say the correct move here, most likely is like knight e4, white can just sacrifice this pawn. I don't think that that's a big deal, you know. White has the bishop pair really strong. So I would think just castles. Of course he can play other moves, but among other things, white lost here a game. I remember this Jonathan Westerberg guy. I crushed him in a rapid tournament. He played the Stonewall attack against me. I had some awesome endgame. Stonewall attack with white. Great opening. Knight takes c3 though. Looks like a very reasonable gambit. Rakesh. But again, not necessary, you know. Very strange. That must have happened by a different move order. Stop playing the Stonewall. At least with white, you know. I mean, it's not that bad with black, but as a white opening, seriously, it makes the London system look good. Once I had this opponent like last month or a month and a half ago when I played over the board, this guy who plays the Stonewall every single game, and I looked in the database and like every single game was Stonewall. And I go to play him and he like plays the London system against me. He had so much respect, he didn't play his pad opening. But anyway, all right, bishop takes c3, not a good move. B takes c, and now Astrobate plays knight g8. Wow. All right. It's obviously not the critical move, but It's kind of like the Brooklyn variation of the Alyakin's defense. We're going to have to be very, very careful. Queen c8 might be necessary. And ultimately, like, white has the space advantage with e5, but we don't have a lot of counterplay. So we're going to have to play for d6. We're going to have to get developed in order to do that. This is obviously a bit dubious for black. Bishop g5, I'm not sure it's the best move necessarily. As I said, this diagonal is also interesting. Man, I would like to think about this for a while for white. I really don't know, because both diagonals of that bishop are good. I'm not sure that bishop g5 is even a good move. Even f6 might be a good move. That's what Asterbate did. I mean, you've got knight e7, you've got f6, and you've got queen c8. 3 very reasonable moves. Queen c8 is probably the least best because it's not as constructive. That's Yuri Lapshin did against me on move 3 with white queen c1 in a Polish opening. Okay, f6. Ubatis is not happy about this, but I think f6 is reasonable. It's a tempo. He gives up his pawn. We at least get to develop. Castle, castle. And white is better. White is better, white. But this thing is pretty strong. The thing on b7. Why not just castle and decide later where to put the bishop? Yeah, I mean, that's how it usually should go. General rule. I mean, this piece doesn't need to be developed early. The queen's bishop is usually the last of the minor pieces that needs to be developed. And I said before, there was a Russian master who taught me that when I was a young player. Do not develop this piece for the sake of developing it. It's actually very influential where it is. Getting this rook in the game might prove to be a bigger problem. Oliveira Lucas, welcome. Thanks for being a subscriber. I didn't even realize you had subscribed. We're going to try to get to all the games today. We've got a full list. Lucas had submitted a game. Alright, so this is risky. Maybe white should think about not taking on f6, but how? How can you play this without taking on f6 now? I suppose bishop h4. Both bishop h4 and bishop f4 are definitely worth considering. Castle, castle, c4, another arbitrary move. Although I don't mind maybe d5 to shut down your bishop on b7. This is my first idea, queen e8. Very standard. Queen e8, queen h5. Kind of Dutch style plan. Asterbate now played c5. So we have other options, man. This piece needs to get back in the game. I call it the Queen's Indian Knight. Everybody knows about the bad bishop in the French and the, what do we call it? The Queen's Gambit declined. But in these type of openings like the Owens defense, the English defense, the Queen's Indian, all these fianchetto lines with b6, bishop b7, the knight on b8 tends to be a problem. So there's always some kind of abstract way we have to get this piece into the game. Sometimes it can roll over from knight c6 to e7 to either g6 or f5. Obviously, we can go, we're threatening this. To eliminate that power piece on... Are we threatening that, though? Maybe not. Maybe it's not a big deal, like a Petrov. Even if I get it in, it may not be good. So, for example, here. But, I mean, there are a lot of interesting lines. Bishop takes bang, so this kind of thing might be good for black, finally. Chigorin. Because he got the pressure on c2. I think knight c6 should be strongly considered. c5 looks rather slow. And I'm also a little bit scared of d5. Maybe d6 is... D6 is not good. I don't like D6. We can't afford to give up this weakness. This is probably like positional capitulation. I mean, I don't know how black's gonna function with that weakness on D6. E6, I mean. That may be fatal strategically for black. So I would prefer knight c6. The other move is queen e8, but it doesn't do much for our development. There's another plan, actually, we should probably bring up here, which would be to give up the bishop. But I'm not sure, how much I trust this. The problem with this position is that white can just simply play c3, really anchoring that pawn on d4. And our poor knights, while playable, and a real fan of like Nimzovich, might go for this. Ronald Burnett, international master. Some sort of pawn structure player. I'm not sure I really like this. It's a pretty big concession to give up that white square bishop. So let's see. c5 takes another option. Can you play d5 as a pawn sack here? This is sort of screaming out at me like danger. E takes d5, c takes d5, bishop takes d5, and there's some nasty tactics. Bishop h7 check, king h7, bishop f6, queen f6, and queen d5. I'm not loving our kingside safety net here. What's left of it? You can imagine this position, man. I don't know, just not easy to play with only one pawn, protect the black king against future threats. So this is the thematic move for white that he should be. I love that word, thematic. Thematic is interesting. So takes, okay, I don't care about that. Have that. I'm actually half surprised that Astrobate didn't just sack a pawn here. Knight a6, man. That's a good move. I love the pawn sack. We get the knight to a6, kick it out to c5. You can sack 2 pawns for development. That's a little bit over the top. Let's just sack 1 and make sure all of our pieces are working. And white's left with these Nimzo pawns. New terminology, Nimzo pawns. But I think this is a valid way to play. Sack a pawn. B takes c. We still have no good place to put the knight. It has to go to c6, blocking the bishop b7. An excellent move by white. Rook b1. You unpinned. Oh no. No way. There it is. The sneak attack against h2, the fishing pole, the ultimate classic fishing pole. So now, it looks like the computer recommends rook takes b7. I have no idea what's up here. What's going on? Do we have to do that? h3, bishop f3. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks like he has to sack the exchange on b7. Instead, blam. And then mate. It's like that line in the Smith-Morra. All right, good God, Astrobate. So you could have set that up in the other variation with, let's see, d takes c5. You could just play it right away. Nah. Yeah, here you wouldn't be able to do it. That's why he took back on c5, because here he still can't play queen c7. He didn't want to do that. Now, I like the tactic, but this is a good way to play. These pawns are all weak, and you have absolute compensation, and now all of your pieces get in the game. I think this is better. You were lucky, that he set himself up for this. But good job. Astrobate's always lucky. Jim? Is Jim here? Refund, 35 points. Game for Thursday. White is better after rook b7, maybe. There's some tactics with the white squares, some bishop e4. He has a pawn already, 2 bishops. I'm not sure, I didn't see anything clear. Move it along now. Game for Thursday, Nightmare versus Agard with a totally unfair result. This commercial break brought to you by lichess. So, alright. Jim is playing as a title player here. Totally unfair result. I'm not going to even go and look what it is. E4, C5. It sounds like something Uber driver would say, Mr. Coffee. Busting the Grandmaster quotes. E4, C5, Knight F3. Here we go again with G6, the second one. Thankfully, it's not Bishop C4. Agard makes me think of Asgard, the Nordic heaven or whatever. You are banished to Agard. But seriously. Alright. Danish player who lives in Scotland. Knight F3, G6, D4, CD4, Knight D4, Knight F6. What is this? So, Jim here plays Knight F6. We actually ironically looked at this the other day with someone. So, white can play F3. It's an interesting move. If you look at statistics, Knight F6 has I feel like there's something wrong with this move order for black. Knight F6. Knight F6 has the best score as far as black wins. White also has the highest percentage of wins, but it's only 286 games. Knight F6. So is this an attempt to avoid the Marazzi? But you can't really avoid the Marazzi, right? Because white can play F3. I mean, it would be a good idea to avoid the Marazzi if you can. Keep it in Accelerated Dragon. But avoiding the Marazzi is not... It's not possible. Of course, F3 isn't always played in Marazzi. But I don't know what we can do. It's funny that D5 has been played here. By the computer. Computer cheating. Grandmaster Igor's Rousis. I like it. When I played him 20 years ago, he was like 2,500. Alright, he's already been arrested for cheating. But E5, he was probably cheating during this game. Yeah, this doesn't look right for black. I don't like this. This is just dubious. Of course, if you're using an engine, then you can do anything you want, I guess. But it has some independent value. It doesn't look that bad, truthfully. Probably worth a try. Anyways, let's see. So he tricks him out of the Marazzi. D6. Well, now you're not playing an Accelerated Dragon. You're just playing a dragon. That's funny. Oh, that's why you're screwed. Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with Knight C3 then. Well, I mean, I guess there's a question here if black can play bishop g7. d6 is a normal dragon, though. I don't think playing the dragon against theoreticians is good. Yeah, well, is e5 a threat or not? It's not clear, Stefanos. I mean, that's a line, probably. We'll transpose to something. e5, knight g8. Acerbate's favorite. This is playable with colors reversed. It's very risky with black, probably. Yeah, I don't like it. But okay, I mean, I've played knight c6 before, so this is knight takes c6. Another line for Jim to play against Magnus Carlsen. I mean, for Bob. This is actually the better way to do it. You know, take with the b pawn. You can play this. I've played this a couple times. I lost to Kudrin once in this ending after queen d8. But you can also sack a pawn with bc, e5, knight d5. No, knight g8 here. This is another line. So this is probably what you should do, Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim, you have to play it like that. Otherwise, you're playing the dragon. So Jim just plays the dragon. Good luck with that. f3, castles, queen d2, knight c6. Now white played bishop c4. Dubious. You can put your knight on g7, of course. It's always good to put your knight on g7. It's a good hyper-modern plan. White played bishop c4 here. Dubious. What? Somebody analyze this with their phone? Stockfish is now considering the main line of the Yugoslav attack. Dubious. That's kind of funny. No, I don't think so. So bishop c4 and h4 immediately. Okay, I don't know a lot about the theory here. I don't touch this with either side. Actually, I played it for white, but I've never played h4. I've never played this for either side. I play the accelerated dragon, so I don't have to play the normal dragon. h4 is interesting. White can try to get an attack without going into kind of the main lines. So it appears that h5 is most commonly played. Soltis, it's possible to transpose now to a Soltis variation. Castles, rook c8. Bishop g5, rook c5. This is an extremely well-known line that seems to be okay for black. By the way, probably this variation is okay for black. So, if white wants to refute him, I don't know. I mean, it seems weird to just transpose. What's up with h5? Geller Korchnoi. There's a couple of games here. I don't know, it seems more consistent to me than just transposing. And now a5, and I don't know what this is. A 1972 game with Lawrence Day. It seems weird to play rook c8 and then a5, but I guess it's possible. This is definitely not a normal line. a4, white seems to know it. And now what? Knight c4. And this is rarely good. So white just like swallowed an encyclopedia. It's basically like the worst practical decision you can make. Like play the most theoretical opening against the player who's like particularly strong in theory. You know? This is probably the kind of opponent where you should play something offbeat. Agard is like mostly writing books. And he's probably very, very well versed in opening theory. You know, he's not like the strongest grandmaster. So if you play against him, I mean, the worst thing you can do is to play the dragon or something like overly theoretical. If you played like the Nimzovich defense or something, he's probably not that dangerous. I would definitely make an effort to think about my opponent's strengths and weaknesses and vary what I played. The dragon is really dangerous in general. I mean, but playing it with black against stronger players is like suicide. So apparently this is a mistake, 92. White has a complete grip on b5. I don't imagine why he would voluntarily want to retreat that piece back if he has to, if he doesn't have to. I live in like the loudest city in the world. Sorry, guys. So I don't want to let black play b5 here. So what's the point? This obviously looks messy. Even that might be playable. What is black going to do? To take here? What do we do now? And the ambulances are just out of control. A4. So this is just going too far, right? Look at that. Vacuum. So you have to take with a knight. Bishop takes, pawn takes, maybe a4 here. Apparently this is it, man. This is the only way to go. And obviously black has to be careful of things like e5, for example. But the dragon is something that I think you really have to know it insanely deep, you know, by heart. The idea is not just memorizing moves, but the themes and ideas. You can't just experiment with it, you know. You really have to play it for a very long time, just kind of master it, and even then it's insanely difficult. So this was apparently his only chance to play for b5. I've never seen, you know, I don't know, but I've never seen a5. I didn't even know this was a variation. Normally you would play a5 with a rook behind it, but it's kind of cool that he got a chance here. He was given a chance, and I'm not sure white has to play b3 there. By the way, is bishop takes a4 a threat? h5 is stronger according to the engine, just ignoring it. b3, rook c8, and then knight here. So if he plays knight b5, it's pretty hard to see what black can possibly do after that. He's basically like nearly strategically lost. I guess h5 to try to stop g4. Black has no plan, no pawn structure plan in this position. This was a very strange lapse by white. Now queen c7 might still be threatening b5. So maybe queen c7 is not such a bad move. I would assume bishop d4. That's what he played too. I think that white is trying to do like a Karpov imitation here. Bishop d4. b5 still not there. Can you play b5? I mean, you got to try something here. You got to try this, right? With the idea of a4 again. Because in this position now black has queen b7. Yeah, I don't care so much about the computer, but the idea is to play queen c7 here because the white squares are safe for the black queen. Bishop e6 is probably the wrong idea. Now we completely have no way to play b5. And white just goes with the program on the king side. Tries to take the pawn. It looks very, very dangerous. Now, I guess it's like g5, rook h5, knight f4, resigns. But there's a mate at the end of the day with queen c3, queen takes c2. So let's see. g5 here, rook takes h5, pawn takes h5. Now where's the win? Just rook h1 maybe. I mean, that could be a real problem. How do you deal with that? I don't get it. I don't see any defense. Maybe queen c5, queen e5. Queen c5, rook h5. Bishop f5 will sack a piece. So this looks winning. King h8, rook h5. There's no move. So he believed Jim. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like that's winning. Yeah, just takes and rook h1. Instead, white played a funny move here. He took and played... Sorry, he played rook d3. He sacked the pawn, played rook d3. Guarding this. But what's the threat? Like g5, knight f4? g5, knight h5, knight f4? Try to do it like with no problem. Now what can we do? Queen c5, queen e5. Still g5 is a very large threat. My only idea is queen c5, queen e5. Queen c5, g5, knight h5. Knight f4, queen e5, knight h5, pawn e5, queen g7. Maybe the queen can sneak back here and try to guard the king side from e5 back to g7. I don't have another plan. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Right. The only chance. Rook h5, pawn h5, knight h5, and knight f6 check. It's probably not going to work. So Agard just tortured him in this technical position. Better structure. Karpov-esque. Now it's not sharp anymore. Yeah, it's not fun. See, this rook has lateral point to go to g3. If pawn takes, rook g3 would be brutal. Pawn takes f6. This is over. So you have to take with the rook, only move. So the king can evacuate. And now that's like very, very nasty. But Jim's hanging on. With the possibility of h5, now white's only threat is pinning the queen. And then you lose the h-pawn. This seems fancy. White's like totally winning strategically. I mean, if you just took here. I wouldn't play e5, but alright, maybe it's good too. Seems like a strange decision. I guess he has this. Nice chance, though. And now white played f6. We don't understand how that works. If you just take. I don't get it. What does it do? Knight takes f6. What are we doing? So f6 is just a really weird move. I don't understand it. And now rook takes c2 check. King b1. He takes f6. White lost on time. Well, I mean, he started to lose control of what he's doing. It felt like playing e5. Why is white playing e5? Why don't we just take this? I don't understand. Is he in time pressure? I mean, this is just... Don't be fancy here. You know, you're up 2 pawns. Well, it's just 1, actually. I was thinking he was up 2 pawns. So it's not that big of a margin, but it does look really, really bad. Queen h7, rook h7. Yeah, Jim was probably close to flagging him. King e8. But it's not just a pawn up. I mean, you're just compressed here with no counterplay whatsoever for black. All right. So Jim got lucky. He was able to flag another grandmaster. Good job, Jim. Good flagging. All right, we've got 45 minutes left. And we've got a lot of games left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5 games left. LVN. Hope I didn't forget anyone. It would be amazing if you could go over this game tomorrow. The main question I have is, how do you go about these kind of good positions? How do you look for a plan? Because I lost my advantage very soon. That's a prank. He said before the game that it had an unfair ending, so I had the feeling. I don't care so much about the results, Jim, just as long as we learn something. Welcome, guys, to my stream, International Master William Pascal. We are doing viewer analysis of games submitted to me by our serious... Most of you are serious who watch the stream, and I think the players who watch my stream improve. A lot of them significantly so. So if you do watch our stream, you can be assured it will be worth your while. e4, c5, knight c3. So LVN is white. I know because he played this against me. How can you talk about acerbate like that, Bob? All right, knight c6, g3, g6, bishop g2. The excitement mounts in the closed Sicilian. We saw an earlier game by LVN in a closed Sicilian. Acerbate shared 2 games with me where he lost on time, ironically, Bob, but it was basically because he berserked in my Tuesday tournament. All right. Castle, castle, h3, rook b8. It all looks very standard. I mean, there's some question about this move at a4. Do you really want to play on the queen side? I've played these kind of positions with both colors. I used to play the black side of e4, c4, e5, knight c3, knight c6. So, I mean, I think the closed Sicilian makes more sense with colors reversed because you're black, you have to be a little more conservative. But a lot of sources will show, you know, that typically the question becomes, if you play a4, do you ultimately weaken your structure? That's why this move is not played here. At the end of the day, when black achieves a6, b5, b4, etc., etc., is the b3 square going to be like a little weaker because we don't have an a pawn anymore? As Dvoretsky said to me, when you're playing like the King's Indian attack, you don't want to touch things on the weak side. I mean, I think the same principle here. That's why a4 is not a common move in this position. The truth is that probably it's not that bad, you know. f4 is theory, I guess, the most common move. a4 is probably not that bad. a6, okay. So now we have some kind of weird move, bishop g5, that LVN seems obsessed with playing bishop g5. He played it against me in a different position, where I played e6 and knight e7. And I think there it makes a little more sense. Generally, the whole idea of playing bishop g5 and provoking h6 is used in many different openings, but I guess here you're not really provoking that much. Like, black can just kind of ignore it. I'm not sure that queen d2, bishop h6 is a big threat. I think that's overrated. You don't have rook, you know, it's not like you have h4, rook h1, and you're playing for mate down the h file. What's the worst you can do to black? You know, queen d2, bishop h6, and what? Trade off his bishop on g7. Those plans where black does stuff like rook h8 to avoid getting their bishop traded with bishop h6 and bishop h8, my opinion about that is that they're completely overrated. You know, in most cases, black doesn't care. If you play queen d2, bishop h6, fine. Then I'll play e5 and put my pawns on dark squares. And I'm fine with the exchange on... Yeah, typically white's plan is f4, f5, Stefanos, in this kind of close Sicilian. I would think so in general. It's not really connected with bishop g5 in any way. But yeah, I mean, you see the main move is f4. Yeah, ultimately he wants to expand on the king side. f5 is the plan. I mean, it's possible that g4 can be played. But that plan, yeah, f4, f5 is the plan. I would think that black doesn't have to play a6 either. I mean, I would suppose, let's see, a6, let's say f4. You see, there's even someone who played like knight e8 here. But maybe f5. I wonder if black should think about knight e8 right away. Dmitry Bokharov. There, the idea would be to meet f4 with f5 directly. He's a good player who lost. But it's not absolutely necessary to play f4, f5. You can allow white to play f5. a6, bishop g5, b5. This is a trick. We have to watch that knight hanging. And now knight d1. So there was a game with knight d5. That would be interesting. What should black do? Take is obvious, but this might be better. I've had a lot of games similar to this. It's about equal. If you take on d5, that's kind of the idea. That white might have pressure down the e file. The bishop on g5 doesn't hurt there. I'm not sure how serious it is. But instead he played knight d1. This is obviously a little more cramped, but it protects the b2 pawn. There will be some issues now with that bishop on g5 and what to do with the knight on d1. Rook e8, bishop h6. See, this is what I'm talking about. Rook e8 is stupid. I mean, I don't understand what rook e8 does. We're gonna play bishop h8. That's like totally unnecessary. And I don't really like white having a bishop like sitting on h6 long term right in front of my king. If you want to play bishop h6, go ahead and do it. Black should just develop a piece like bishop d7, bishop h6, e5. Don't see anything wrong with that. I don't know, are you going to go back to, like, maybe you should actually go back. One time I played bishop h6 against Vadim Milov and I was like, what am I doing? Why did I play bishop h6? Why am I trading off his bishop on g7? So probably you should actually change plans and go back to bishop g5. This guy, Zambrana, who's from South America, I think, actually took on h6 against Felgeyer and drew. It's like, where's the attack? You know, just the queen by itself can't hurt you. You know, I disagree with rook e8. I think it's totally the wrong idea. Gilberto Hernandez. Never met him. Mexican grandmaster. So f4, Bishop e7. There's only South Americans playing this position for some reason. Central and South American. Usually I'm seeing Hungarians here. f5 is the right plan. That was the plan as mentioned earlier. Now there. Now a lot of times you see something here for white in the closed English type position, which would be rook b1. This is probably best. Because if you surrender the file, black can do some damage down that file. So white just sucks it up and plays rook b1. It accepts the fact that you have a bad rook, but it's hard for black to make progress. It takes him forever to like triple on the a file. So this actually is almost turning into a very typical English opening, colors reversed, more or less. Virtually a transposition. It's basically like LVN is black against the English opening. These are very complex positions. I mean, g5, g4 is not the only move, g4 here. I mean, I would assume you could maybe maneuver with knight e3. So what's our plan? Like g4, knight g3? I'm a little concerned about this knight on d1. Knight e3. Oh, now it says g4 is the best move, so it's debating between the two. At least we're on the right track. g4, queen a8, and that's what I'm saying. That's why rook b1 is a good move. It's very hard. It takes forever for black to do anything on the queen side here. Now this is a really weird move. I don't know what he's doing with queen f4. That is not where your queen belongs. Okay, I see what he's doing. He's trying for some kind of like primitive threat against f7. But first of all, when black plays knight h5, it will hit your queen. Secondly, he can defend f7 with knight e5, it looks like. But this is why I don't like playing rook e8 and bishop h8. You know, so what does it do? Like get us mated or something? Queen f4 is a very strange move, kind of artificial. Knight e5. Now there's no way to get through against f7. I kind of like that for black. And now g5. I pretty much thought you were going to play knight g3 to circumvent knight h5. That actually looks pretty good. Doesn't that seem stronger? There's no threat of knight d4 anymore. So the knight can go over here and stop knight h5, and now g5 becomes really kind of interesting. Although still I'm not sure you have an actual threat. This is a pretty artificial setup. But knight h5, I'm not sure if he should have gone there. He has to consider knight d7. But I guess it's good. I guess it's good. It's a tempo. You can't really hit the knight at h5. Yeah. This is the problem. Another guy coming in. Uh-oh. Got a weakness at d3. That's a nice move by black. Black, whoever he is, seems to know what he's doing. It's the Master of Mayhem. Who is that? It sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. He's played, you know, not bad. I mean, he obviously found b3. That's a good move. He seems like a reasonable player. I don't like his plan with rook e8 that much, though. Yeah, this is a problem. Maybe we have problems after b3. Structurally, we're in trouble now. He's not bad as a player, seems like. He found b3. Okay, so that ties him down to f7, and then he can take on d3. So this seems like the best option. Our structure is shot, though. So I like black better now. This is obviously Interesting. Never coming back. I'm not sure about that, but we had to play g5. Is there a way to protect d3? So LVN has this move, pretty strong defensive move, guarding d3, hitting the rook, and he's staying alive there. Why don't I like d4? Well, your structure's even worse now, to be frank. I mean, that's the thing about the white position. It's just isolated pawn, isolated pawn, isolated pawn, isolated pawn, isolated pawn. And black has a perfect smiley face on g6, f7. The pawn smile. Pawn smile can't lose. Eating on stream is just classless. Especially something noisy. It's like you're trying to be annoying. Can't watch that, sorry. Knight d4, queen d3. Kind of a weird move. Maybe white is some sort of crazy tactics, like knight e6 or something. We're going to have some miracle tactic to save the game. So, okay, e4 is attacked, g3 is threatened. White is in big trouble positionally. And he played knight f4. The thing about knight f4 that I don't like is that all it seems to do is like trade pieces. I admit that black's structure is better, but it feels like there should be something better for black here. I wasn't sure about queen d3, frankly. Queens are distance pieces, you know? Well, I guess he's hitting the rook. But anyway, I mean, knight c3 is such an easy move to play. Yeah, why don't you just take this knight? The knight is in your face. Queen d4 check. I don't think it's that bad. Even though you have 5 isolated pawns, it's like one more isolated pawn than him. This is not going to be that easy. Although I think white has limited winning chances, you're still alive. I mean, that piece is really in your face. Taking this rook is just insanely materialistic. So knight g2. What a nice exchange sacrifice for black. This falls. I don't know what the time control was, but you played this. So white survives. Gets the queens off the board and trades a set of pieces. Man, it's a major escape. Black was a little cocky. Probably busy crunching or something. Too busy crunching to calculate. Maybe he was playing tennis. Alright, yeah, I mean, white very lucky to survive here, clearly. Still, black has a good exchange sacrifice, and it's also very tough to crack black's position. Yeah, that's the way in, though. I mean, if we can make our rooks felt here, that extra exchange could really make a difference. And your outside pawns are deadly. The B pawns... Dude, the tennis thing is just really annoying, that bandana. Alright. You've already got me in trouble once this week, Bob. I'm not going to start bullying anyone. Bishop f6, rook on bc1, king h7. With those b pawns now under surveillance, I guess it's a draw. What? You're just dropping the b pawn? Why are you giving him your b pawn? Maybe it's time pressure. I'm certainly not giving him this pawn without a fight. You're down. I mean, you're up the exchange here. There's no way you should really lose unless you get really outplayed from an equal position. I know that it's not that easy, though. If you're in time pressure, it's understandable. But there's no way you would normally lose this position. The potential is there, especially after losing that pawn. I mean, now he's got the perfect pawn structure. Very strong. Black is better after that pawn drops. And you just dropped a rook. Oof. Two-move tactic. Sad. No, you did, Bob. I was accused of bullying and harassment, which I think is not true. It's interpretation. But by that guy, no, he told me, you know, he's reporting me for bullying and harassment. But whatever. I don't agree, you know, and I don't care. I think he was trolling me. So, but I don't want any, you know, any trouble with anybody. So we're going to move on. Not a lot of time left here. You like provoke people and then accuse them of bullying and harassment. Okay. Whatever. Look, I've never seen so many people on the line. Online who are my friends. LVN is done. We've got someone on sound. Got someone on sound. Where are my games? All right. For the game analysis, we've got only 30 minutes left. Game against an FM I crushed. Can you imagine what he's saying about me every week when he beats me? For this game analysis, I'd love you to look at this game against the IM I crushed. I'm very proud of it. I loved grinding him into the ground and grinding his bones down into bone meal. It's kind of a gift to you because it's your teaching, and the games I've played on the stream help. Now it makes me feel bad. It's kind of a gift to you because it's your teaching, and the games I played on the stream helped me get there. It's one of the best games I ever played. Now I really feel bad. Okay. Someone in Sound versus Sunset Boulevard. Didn't somebody else submit a game? Was it you? I don't know who this guy is. We're not going to insult any players anymore, hurt anyone's feelings. That's not what I set out to do. You know, if they come to my stream and they insult me, you know, I'll respond. But generally, I like to be polite to everybody. I don't want to mock anyone. D5. This is my teaching. Someone on sound. This is not my teaching. You're not going to make me responsible for this opening. My teaching is to not play this opening. Do not play Bishop C4. Maybe he corrects his play. Let's see. Bishop B3. Knight F6. I'm sure that I played this against Marois in a blitz game on the stream, but it's not really good. My patented A5, I played against someone on sound. And takes is fine too. As I told someone on sound, I think his worst opening is his hillbilly attack. But this Knight F6 doesn't look so good. E5, yeah, this is what I did. Oh no, I played Knight FD7 against Marois. And I got a kind of weird French where... I mean, this kind of thing happened, and it was like a French where his bishop was on b3. He has a big space advantage, but his bishop is strangely placed. So it's kind of a trade-off. I think white is slightly better. But this is definitely new. It's definitely new. I guess it's playable. He has knight c5, you know, to go after that bishop. So he's not in danger of getting his knight trapped. Knight d7, e6, okay, it's playable, but it's not necessarily good for white. Rudolf Spielmann style. So knight e4, d4. Ah, this is a good move. So, someone on sound controlling the c5 square. No, I'm talking about... No, we're not talking about number 4. Speaking of arrogance, stop it. Stop provoking me. d4, h6. That's not good. This is not good to play h6. Black had to play h6 in order to retreat his knight back to g5 and h7. I honestly don't understand why Jonathan Spielmann didn't become world champion. Okay. This is Bob making me make ridiculous comments. All right, no, we're not going to go there. d4, h6. Now, what is black doing here? Seriously, okay. Obviously, Sunset Boulevard doesn't play the Alekhine's defense, because you would know to play h6, f3, knight g5. This is kind of fun when this happens. Much better than h6, knight h7. I'll show you a very similar variation. Bishop takes g5, pawn takes g5 with a funky pawn structure. I play this with black. e4, knight f6, knight c3, d5. Obviously this can be a Scandinavian or Alekhine. Here, knight e4, and then they play, you know, the classic knight e2. And your knight is in danger of getting trapped. So one of the ways to solve it is to play f6. After d3, this is a kind of fun variation, knight g5 here, with a messed up structure. And I had a lot of really exciting and interesting games. But of course, like, nobody plays into this line against me. Like 100% of my opponents on lichess I've ever played must have played, they all play e takes d5. Everybody. Like, nobody even lets me play this variation. Anyway, okay, so I thought that was comparable. Whoa, what are we doing? All right, sorry guys. So h6. This is like some kind of really bizarre plan. I don't want to have my knight on g5. That's not good. Now I can tell you that the FM is going to lose almost with certainty. Maybe a draw. Maybe a draw is possible if someone on sound boots the endgame, but he's basically almost unbeatable once he gets a solid advantage out of his openings, which he usually does. Bishop e3, e6, c3. The bishop is a bit funny there on b3, isn't it? This is a good plan by black, but the knight is just too weird. So here I was thinking develop a piece with knight d2. That seems right. I don't know, you know. Wouldn't you want to develop the piece with knight 2 and then play f4? Or are you going to play h4 and just kick him back with h4? I guess if you're going to play h4, it doesn't matter. But I think I prefer knight d2 to bishop c2, which is developing a new piece. Not really sure. I certainly hope you're not going to play like bishop d3. I assume not. Bishop a6. Now this one gets developed. I just wasn't sure why you played bishop c2 when you did. After b6, I figure he'll castle short. Well, I mean, you can play that anytime. You think he's going to castle short? I don't think he's castling short, man. You got like the strongest attack in history ready to like annihilate him. The only place he's castling is next game. Probably. Possibly queenside. No, I don't think he's going to castle short, dude. It looks insane. Yeah, maybe after bishop c2 it looks even more insane. Maybe you should have actually not discouraged him. You know, you're actually discouraging him from castling kingside by playing bishop c2. You should be like trying to get him to castle kingside. It looks like you're actually trying to talk him out of it. Probably he's wise not to. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're playing knight e2 anyway. We're arguing about nothing. I mean, he should try to play c5 and get some play on the queen side. That's about all he can do here. Does he play c5? He voluntarily retreats his knight, which I can't really blame him for that. It's going to get sent back there anyway. But what about c5? c5. I was thinking something here. Well, I was going to say his knight would be good on c6. Probably contributing a little bit more. This is really weird. So knight h7, now f4. I don't have a problem with f4. I mean, the strategic plan is f4, f5. It looks like the right idea. And then bishop e7. I mean, g6 looks horrible. Imagine g6. Someone on sound, did I ever play this way against you? Did we have a game where I played knight f6? I can't remember. We once had a Nimzovich defense or something that was similar structure, but I don't recall. And now you're castled, and then f5. And this is like sheer positional desperation. I probably would have done the same, though. Black's only mistake was playing like knight e4, knight g5. I mean, I don't know that his play can be improved here, or Black's position can be saved. Probably not castling kingside, but trying to castle queenside, or... f5 looks like totally reasonable and sort of desperate move, but now you took. Yeah, this is like an advanced Caro-Kann now. If I had to guess the opening, I would say it was the advanced variation. You might as well just play the advanced variation. You'd probably do well instead of this hillbilly stuff. Now he's like lost. He was probably lost anyway. But I mean, if he takes this way, can he run his king out to d7? I mean, it looks like strategically lost anyway, but at least maybe he could go over there, try to hide out while you lay siege to his position. It's just over. I mean, imagine this. I'm surprised you didn't play f5 here. How does he... Does he survive that? For reals? He can just like take? This has got to be awful for Black at best, you know? He takes f5, knight f4, king g8. He takes f5, c4. It's like a computer move. He takes f5, c4. If somebody plays that against me, I'm going to like send an email to lichess and complain they're an engine. That's not the first move I would think of when I'm operating here on the king side. So now we have knight f3, king g8, knight e5, just simple. It's a disaster. But I don't think I can take credit for teaching you any of this. This is your stuff, man. I mean, the opening is your stuff. I don't know if I've helped guide you strategically. Bishop f7. You sacked in exchange now. Merciless, mate. Now, how do we finish him off after king h8? You got bishop h6, knight e6, and bishop h6. Oof. Knight e6, and now bishop takes h6. That's going to be hard to deal with. That hurts. Yeah. But I don't think I can take too much credit, man. You're just naturally crushing people. But I still don't advocate this opening. I think you should play something real. The advanced variation seems like it would be good. All right, guys, we're running out of time. So I got Stefanov Bob and Stefanov Bob and Lucas. Stefanov, I call him. Stefanos. He's not Russian. Trying to learn the modern two knights in the Caro, but it's slow going. Yeah, okay, something like that with a spatial advantage. Hard to get open positions against the Caro, and the main line is too much theory. It's hopeless for both sides, probably. So, all right, this is a game I played with 90-30. Managed to get an advantage out of the opening, but I spent too much time trying to win brilliancy prizes. Blundered badly in time pressure. Guys, please support the stream. Don't forget. Subscribe, make a donation. We've only got a couple more days left this week. Tomorrow is our Fast Friday stream at 11 a.m. CET. And Sunday is our simul. I promise a better result. Last week I forgot to eat dinner, so I have to think of some kind of excuse for my bad simul result last week. No, seriously, the week before I did great. This week will be better. So this is Classical Chess. That's Sunday at 6:30 CET. If you guys would like to join us. Pondo will be here with me. It's fun to play, what? The Hillbilly? Well, I think it's your worst opening. That's my personal opinion. It's worse than even the what's called the Albin. You've mastered the Albin. It's the only thing I'm not afraid of that you're playing with white, probably. I mean, the Mora, I believe, is okay for black, of course. But I've been trying to avoid the drawish lines there. I feel relieved when someone on sound plays the Hillbilly attack. I might just play the Caro-Kann every game for the rest of my life against him. So this is black. All right, cool, because I'm playing the Nimzo, mostly with black. Getting old. Play like Karpov. So bishop b4, queen c2. Now, I have experience playing different stuff. I've played mostly c5. I played knight c6. And lately b6, and I looked at d6, but I did play castles. I think I lost. Did I ever play castles in this? Maybe against Blustein. I had a game, but I didn't play this much. Though this is a good variation. This is a very good Stefanos. It's a very good variation. So I guess a3 is probably the best. Because e4 leads to nothing. Although it's very complicated, nothing. e4, d5, black is okay in all variations. There are some long, very complicated, weird lines, but basically in this line, I don't think we have any issues, theoretically. Black should be fine. So the a3, I mean, white could play other stuff, of course, like knight f3, bishop g5. Maybe bishop g5 is a move. a3 is the most common. a3, you know, the question is, what do we do here? After bishop takes c3, queen takes c3. You can sack a pawn. You know, I'm not sure if this is good or not. I don't know where it stands theoretically. How about d5? Probably this is the best. This variation with d5, knight f3, d takes c4, queen takes c4, and now b6. You ever seen that many draws in your life? Probably a very good way to play with black. Alright, but he plays knight f3, now d5. I don't know anything about this. It actually transposes to like a Rogozin. So you basically transpose to the Rogozin where white is playing queen c2. I don't know if this is classified as a Nimzo or a Queen's Gambit. I'm out of my depth here. So now white decides to play bishop g5. Looks like an aggressive move. My first question is, can we take on c4? Does anyone know about that? I mean, e3 is slow looking. This looks like Magnus Carlsen territory. Something he would play. There's no Carlsen games here. It's not really a proper Rogozin, right? What about h6? Still no Carlsen games. So he doesn't play this position with castles, I guess. I mean, the queen is on c2. That's kind of unusual. You've played a kind of weird move order. What about this? I mean, is there something wrong with this? I want to know why we can't take that pawn. e4. Just a handful of games where this is even played. So you got some kind of crazy position with almost no theory, and the engine thinks it's like close to equal. It's probably worth looking at. If you want to play this again, I mean, it would likely happen. C takes d5, though. This is unusual. Okay, bishop g5. Maybe you should play h6 first. Now this would really transpose to Rogozin. Like bishop f6, queen takes, pawn takes d5. How would this not transpose to Rogozin? Now we finally get a Magnus Carlsen game. The queen is usually on b3 instead of c2. c2 should be okay. Let's see what he did. So c5, e3. Now it's like a Panov. I actually kind of like it. cd4, cd4, ed4. Maybe you can even play our favorite move, queen a5, at some point. What happens if cd4, ed4, dc4? I guess that develops a piece for him. Even this is probably not that bad. We need a better move, though. Queen a5. Can you do that? Apparently it's not good. It does seem a little artificial. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to play this. Bishop e7 with a weird tempo down Panov. Where's DK guy? He would love this. He beat me the other day. One of these. You can lose a tempo and transpose to a known position. It's crazy. Just voluntarily retreat your bishop back to e7. And you're playing like Haratonov. That's funny. Alright, so you took now. No, this is my analysis. h6 is the game. And bishop f4. I don't know what this bishop really does here. I don't think I like it very much in IQP positions, the bishop on f4. So I think that's a strange decision. And now knight c6, giving him a chance to take on c5. I would definitely take here on d4. If he takes with a knight, he's a wimp, and it's probably going to be kind of drawish, I guess. But this... Well, there's a move there for black, rook e8 apparently, but this is good for black, I think. This doesn't really do that well in isolated pawn positions. Zukertort would put his bishop on e5. Yeah, I mean, now it's a different type of Nimzo. You know, I don't really like giving up my bishop. I don't know why I play the Nimzo. I would just exchange on d4 first. That way your bishop can always come back, for one thing, if you want to. I mean, I'm not sure a3 is a great move. I think this is like looking like a very normal position now for a classical Nimzo, actually, strangely. Or even a queen's gambit. You know, this almost becomes like a totally standard position after d takes c5. So this is a weird move. a3 takes, b takes. I don't like rook e8. We have no future there. Only if he takes, but he doesn't have to. DK guy is here. You're in total shock? Why? For the first time you agree with Bob? I don't want to know what you agreed about. You have a bad bishop, and white has a very good active bad bishop. Those are very important factors, I think, strategically here in this position. White has the bishop pair, and I'd like to trade my bad bishop for his good bishop. But I accept the fact that white's bishop is actually not bad. At this point, Stefanos played the engine move, rook e8, which I really don't understand. If white takes on d5, then it kind of makes sense. But it's not really proactive. I think I like this plan a lot better to play b6. I don't like this bad piece, man. We got to get rid of it. This is a very strange move. And you guys know what I say. Queen a5 is always bad. This is not the worst queen a5, though. You can incorporate plans of b6, bishop a6, kind of like a win over French. And there's clearly this diagonal here. I mean, how can white play h3? You know, who has the time for that? His king's in the center of the board. It's way too liberal to play h3. Queen a5 is not that bad. In this position, I'll accept that. And now, you take. Oh boy. So you got e5. Wow. And that makes rook e8 look like a genius move. That's amazing. Walked right into it. Wow. Well, I don't really advocate the way that white played either. I guess he can play knight d2, but now you have e5. I don't like h3. I mean, he clearly went overboard with that. Bishop d3, beautiful tactic. And now you just rip open the position with advantage. Nice job. Clear advantage, maybe winning. It looks like it's basically like winning. Now you're up a pawn and your king, enemy king, is just stuck in the center of the board. It's trashed. He's totally destroyed. His reaction was good. Getting out of there, of course he has to. And truth is, your extra pawn is not that easy to keep protected, and it's doubled. So, but you also have a structural advantage on the queen side. There were a lot of problems for white. Not enough pawns and not a good structure of pawns. Yeah, this was a mistake. The summon on sound style queen g5 looks. I lost to an engine today. It was a 1000 player. He also very strongly played queen g5 against me. Yeah, this looks really strong, this build up on the king side. You gain time attacking a3, but then after this is it. This is disaster. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore about the material. This is structure. It's like LVN's game. You have 5 isolated pawns, you're done. You know, it's done. There's no way. You don't even need to calculate. He's totally toast strategically. For once you agree with Bob. I agree with Bob. I agree with Bob on a couple of things. I think it might be useful what you guys are talking about as a form of like self-punishment or something. You know? So there could be positive uses. Bishop d7. I won't name any names. When I play a really bad game, do something wrong. f3. I'm not going to start bashing other people. I'll leave that for Bob. g3, queen h5. Good job by Stefanos, though. This was a defense move. Holding on. He's still hanging on. Wow. We didn't really want him to trade queens. And I don't like the fact that rooks are on the board. Rooks are very drawish. But the structure is beauty. It's a beauty. Okay, maybe king f8. Yes. Oh man, I'm getting worried. Knight d5, rook f3, rook c8. Rook d3, knight takes c3, rook d7 with compensation. What? What? Why can't you take this pawn? He just didn't take the pawn. But is knight d5 a good move? Maybe it's just a draw now. I'm afraid of this. Rook here, rook takes, knight d5, rook d3, followed by knight takes c3, rook d7, and I think that there's no way we're winning here. Just too active for white. Terrible threats. Queen takes f5. I have to go shortly, guys, so I'm going to end this game, but we got a couple left. I'm going to quickly have to go through. Where did you mess this up, essentially? Queen takes f5. We're in a risky situation now. In endgame, I like king f8, but apparently it's a blunder. I didn't see this move, but the engine points out rook e8. But you've put yourself in a situation where, you know, the advantage is small, and you have to be very, very accurate. But one thing to take away from this, and I'm going to go on to the next game to quickly go on through the rest of it. When you have a structural advantage in an endgame like this, you want to keep the knights on the board and trade the rooks. This is very important. Knight endgames are unforgiving if you have small advantages like structure, king centralization, something minor like a pawn up. But the rooks have a very heavy drawish tendency. That's why the famous saying that like all rooking games are drawn. I didn't see rook e8, the engine found it, but I mean, if you get to a knight endgame, white is going to be in trouble here with the broken structure. Even if he regains the pawn like this. Dude, this is, well, I mean, he's not even regaining the pawn. You have forks here. He can't even take the pawn because of knight b5. So, I'll leave it with that note. I also would have played king f8, but it's probably a draw now. And you might outplay him, but he should have survived if he didn't. He actually went on to win. Oof. His knight is strong, man, on f5. It's a very, very strong piece there. Tragedy. All right, don't trade the don't trade the knights with a better structure. It was a well-played game until the end. Bob is up next. Just very quickly going to go over Bob and Lucas. Lucas was kind of a last-minute submission, and Bob is Bob. He's not here for chess. He's just here to to start fights with other title players for me. Where is it? Stefanos. Bob, where's your submission? I thought you submitted a game. Did I get you out of line? Did you just say you were submitting a game? Or did you not submit a game and I just thought you were submitting a game? Let me do the other game. You submitted it today. Maybe they deleted your account. No, there it is. All right. Kindly review this humble game. Okay. I was going to say they deleted your account. One of these days. It wouldn't be the first one. I don't know why I put up with him. Whoa. Bob sack with 4 inaccuracies, 15 cent upon loss. If you keep playing like that, you're going to get your account banned. On the defensive side, his opponent also had 4 inaccuracies, 15 cent upon loss. An uneventful draw, it looks like. DM, not GM. Bob is black. Plays the Queen's Gambit accepted. And now E3. Of course, like the sharpest moves are probably E4 and Knight F3, Knight F6, Knight C3. E3 is quiet but solid. This is generally not a good move on the white side of the Queen's Gambit accepted. The knight generally, it can get hit by advancing pawns like A6, B5, B4. So maybe that's the easiest way to explain why it's not generally a good idea to develop the C knight first. White usually takes this, obviously. The setup is pretty much a universal one. Black plays E6, A6, B5, C5, Knight on BD7, Bishop E7. You can try other stuff. My former teammate, Zoli Varga, he likes to experiment with variations like Bishop E6, for example. If you want to get white out of, the standard lines, there are ways to try to do it. Obviously, it's risky. I played something similar to this yesterday against Lucas, our last game. But for the most part, it's kind of artificial. For the most part, black should play A6, E6, C5, standard moves. This is not really the best move. Knight C3. And then Bob plays Bishop F5, which is just pretty random. The problem here, first of all, we're going to get in trouble with B7 when he recaptures this pawn. So this Queen B3 could be a danger, hitting our B7 pawn. So Bishop F5 also can get hit by advancing central pawns. Not a good move. It looks like somehow he got away with it. I don't know why the Queen's Gambit accepted is really unpopular. It's not trendy, let's say, and hasn't ever really been for some reason. Wow. I am actually stunned that there are like 50 games from this position. I would imagine this would most commonly arise from another opening. Some kind of Slav, where black took on C4 or something. It's not a Slav, it would be a Queen's Gambit. How would you get a queen? What would this position even be? I don't know how this position even happens. Very strange. But white's better because black doesn't have a strong center. Not a traditional way of playing with Bishop F5. So C5 is a good move in general. I'm a little concerned about the queen side, B7 in particular, the king being in the center, white getting away quicker to castle. But white decided to play D5, which seems a bit strange. Maybe it's not bad though. I would probably castle here with white. Knight C6 and then make a decision as to what to do here. Though I'm not sure. Maybe Queen E2, CD. Can we do something like Rook D1? Anyway, it's a very interesting idea, Bob, playing Bishop F5 and the Queen's Gambit accepted. I've never seen this happen. ED5, Knight D5. Alexei Swaytin from 1993. One of my favorite chess authors, though I can't trust his analysis on the Roy Lopez apparently. But it's Tartakover's fault. Slayton forced me to play a bad move in my Marshall Gambit game last week with his bad, faulty recommendation. Knight takes d5. Okay. Bishop d5, knight c6, and now bishop takes c6. Adamski is an old friend. I only know him by name. Polish? Wasn't he like a Polish grandmaster? Yeah, I never really traveled around. It's an older player. Bishop takes c6. I never traveled. Ironically, I've been living in Europe for like the best part of the last 13 years, but I never actually traveled that much in Europe. Bishop takes c6. I don't like this move. That's a strong bishop, you know. See, that's why DK Guy is so strong. He knows all these old school grandmasters and stuff. No wonder he's so good. I don't feel so bad now. A little like Blobix. Blobix knows everyone. Actually, I'm missing Blobix. Where is he? Hope he's okay. Hope everybody stays healthy during this coronavirus thing. But I don't like this. Look at that piece on d5, man. It's unbelievable. That's his whole position, you know, and he cashes it in for bishop takes c6 from some doubled pawns. We're basically closing down the stream soon. You guys have a bonus half an hour here. So white should play like e4. This actually is a fairly common occurrence. A bishop stationing itself on like d5 in the Queen's Gambit accepted. White has the majority in Congress and in the House of Representatives, and black has a majority in the Senate over here on the Queen's side. But seriously, this is a very debatable decision to play bishop takes c6. So the endgame, this double pawn, okay, it's a weakness, but I think this piece, this bishop dominating the white squares is... That's even a bigger problem. I think I would even rather be black here. It might be more efficient to play bishop d2. Every pawn move you make creates weaknesses, but I guess white wants to gang up on the a3. It might be a smart move actually, b3. It's more aggressive. He's going to fix the pawn on c5. So it's tricky. I mean, if Bob does something like c4, can we just play c4? Bob, we're going to be slightly worse. It's tricky. I don't know. You can try it. You can undouble your pawns with this. I think a lot of people, including myself, probably would go with this type of thing. Like take, go into the end game. You've got the bishop pair. Your pawn strengths are slightly worse. Your king's better. It's about equal. Let's see what happened. So f6 is a good move, but you're going to have an issue with that pawn there. Must defend actively. Very important endgame concept. This is not really that active. You better not castle, man. Castle is a travesty. This is an endgame. You should put your king on f7. It's closer to the center. You don't need to castle. Castling is for losers. It's a routine move, and you're gaining nothing by castling. Bishop e2. This is probably a mistake. He should pile up on the a3 pawn with bishop a3. He's got nothing here. I didn't know you castled, man. I don't look ahead. I'm not cheating. I try not to look ahead. You know, it would bias my analysis. This is clearly the best move. There could be some variations where he's able to do like e4, e5, your king could get attacked or something, but generally you want to keep the king in the center. It's an advantage. It's a compensating factor. Bishop e2 was lame, though. And now you traded. But again, I think this might be a mistake as well. You can improve your play here. I mean, I like king f7, but I like rook d5 too. You know, this would be wonderful if you would like fix our pawn structure. You would be clearly superior now, I would say. So you want to trade on your terms. Bob actually played this really kind of lamely. He extracted the maximum, you know. You probably get a draw, but you probably have very little chances to win. But if you play it like rook d5 or king f7, you might have even winning chances. He might go wrong. So this was slightly lame. You know, now you basically have a pretty simplified ending. Although you do have bishop b1, which I missed. By trading the rooks, now suddenly his pawns got weak. So now, yeah. Looks like you're completely fine. His pawns are just as vulnerable as yours. Yep. It's a draw now. You missed bishop b1. Very active move. You could lose this. Horrifying move, like knight takes b6. White has the majority in the House of Representatives, and the Senate is obviously irrelevant here, as it should be. The House is obviously more important at the moment. So that pawn majority on the king's side could create a passed pawn. Your queenside pawns are bad. This is just a lame move, and now it's an opposite color bishop draw. I wouldn't, you know, really fault the play here. It's a draw now. And now you traded off the pawn. You tried. Don't let him in, Bob. Move 11 won a position like this earlier in the stream. Yeah, he let your king into d5. I mean, clearly white should play king d4. It's a total draw. Oh my god, what's happening here? Yeah, now you've got the move 11 break yourself with c3. You're threatening invasion over here, and you've got move 11's pawn sack from earlier in the stream with walking in there. Yeah, but how are you going to do that, actually? Okay, so you sack a pawn with c3. Bob sack a pawn to c3, bishop takes c3, bishop c4 check. Can't believe you didn't have the guts to go for this. So if he goes to d2, you're walking into f3. It's probably still a draw, but at least you could make an effort, you know. And the other way, you would go into d3, and again, it's still a draw, but at least you would have the moral. You would the moral victory of sacking a pawn like a macho man. Anyway, guys, on to the last game. So Oliveira Lucas, you lost to a cheater. I love the way they word this. You lost to a cheater. But they only refunded me 35 of my 43 points. What was up with that? Where is my game from Lucas? Guys, we're running late. Last game. Thanks everybody for watching. Damn it. Where is my notes? What just happened? Alright, I'm too far up. I need to scroll down. Oliveira Lucas. Okay, there you are. Alright, so I had this game against the U.S. National Master during a 12-player simul, ended in a draw, but it was a long classical game. I do want to know your opinion about it. Okay, you're black. So we have just 5 minutes. Last game, guys. Gotta run. It's getting late. I have a stream tomorrow. Jesse James. Who's Jesse James? 2300 USCF. No clue. Maybe his name is Jesse James. I don't know. I'm out of touch with the US chess scene. So f4. Ouch. c5. GB3. Nothing wrong with this. I never thought about doing this. That's funny. It never occurred to me to play knight like g6 against the bird Larson. I mean, of course, typically you would get this position: d5, b3, g6, bishop b2, knight f6. But even that's fine. I mean, I just don't see any problem with this. This is just not an issue. Even better here, though, probably more dynamic, not having pushed that central pawn up to d5 gives black more flexibility. He was in your part of the country there, Asterbate, Jesse James. Cool. So now it's like a b3 Sicilian, man. You've got a transposition to a b3 Sicilian. I'm not sure what other choice you have, though. So this is lively. e4, d6. I saw a game like this. Bishop g7, e5, knight d5. Somehow I saw a variation where white played e6 in a position like this, but how could that happen? I have no clue what I'm talking about. Anyway. It looks like you can allow e5 and put your knight on d5, but you also have to consider knight h5. I know it seems a little frightening to allow e5, but it may actually be overextending for white. So you see here Helgi Olafsson lost, but don't fear. So d6. I like bishop g7 better. Definitely. There's something to be said for the flexibility here in the center. d6. d6 is not a bad move. Bishop g7. And now check. He wants to play maybe d3 and not have a bad bishop. I thought about playing b3 like Blabix. Yeah, Heinrich Danielson, right? He's an expert on f4. He's like the only grandmaster in the world that regularly played the Birds opening. I never met him. I don't know anybody. Bishop d7, bishop d7, queen d7, d3. This is transposed to theory. All right, I mean, white's position looks a little bit overextended. Like, he's got a lot of weaknesses, but it's not so easy to really exploit that. So far, okay. It looks like a closed Sicilian, kind of. But like the first game, we saw the closed Sicilian with LBN. I mean, the plan of playing f5 for white is kind of a problem. White could build up kingside threats based on the fact that he has a strong pawn on e4. He can play f5. He can have some kingside build-up plans. Where is our plan? You know, where is black's? What is black's plan? I would find this a kind of difficult position to play, frankly. You know, let's see what white played. 92. Like, typically, the e3 square is a problem in these like Dutch type positions. So usually it's often like 92 is bad. It's better to go knight a3, knight a3, knight c4, and we have access to controlling e3. Oftentimes it's the pawn on e3 instead of e4 in like a classical Dutch type position. So apparently he has some crazy tactic here. Knight takes e4. I would have missed it. It's a long sequence. Bishop g7, knight d2, bishop f8, knight f3 check. You have to calculate. Easy to miss that. Your opponent did as well, and he's a national master. But the problem is, what's black's plan? Like I said, what is our plan here? So rook c8, I don't mind. I mean, is our plan to play like some sort of knight d4, though? Where is our rook going? You know, I feel like it's difficult to come up with a plan, and that's what you were saying yourself. Yeah, I understand. But I don't care about the tactic, you know. So you missed a tactic. But I'm more interested in you know, what should your plan be, you know, in general. I mean, I feel like your strength is c5, so, you know, playing some kind of move like on the queenside. The queenside expansion with b5, it kind of feels like an English opening, you know, you're playing here. Theoretically, the pawn break with like c4, something like that might be possible. Maybe just a general queenside expansion. This also looks interesting. And by the way, like a5, a4 is not a bad idea against the bird's opening in this type of fianchetto variation. In fact, you can play like b3, a5 on move 1. So I think like b5, a5, threatening a4. Probably white might even think about playing a4 himself. I mean, I don't know. This knight doesn't seem very good. And you take away that too. He might play a4, and then you could consider a6. So I think that b5 is an interesting move. There's also questions about the position of your queen being kind of unnatural. This queen might do well on b7, actually. I like b5. It's not really a plan. I mean, the plan might be to play a break with c4, expand on the queen side in general to a5. But I think if we look at the pawn structure, where's your lead pawn on c5? Your space advantage is on the queen side. So usually this type of position, it's basically like a closed Sicilian. White will play on the king side, and black will see counterplay, you know, with like b5, a5, maybe a c4 break. Rook c8 is not so bad, but I think you're going to need to use the pawn, you know, to play like b5. Maybe white should even play a4, circumvent you here. This move, I think, is a mistake, you know, clear mistake. I might be wrong, but at least on a strategic level, it feels like you'd be opening the f-file for him and also placing your pawns on the wrong color with your bishop on g7 and letting that pawn be kind of a target for e5. There may be some tactics that justify this move, but I think strategically it's a mistake. From the pawn structure perspective, it's an unusual move. I mean, you have a weakness on d5, your bishop is bad. It looks like it's justified by some sort of tactics. Here, knight g4. And that's good that you highlighted the weakness of e3. This square bothers me. Queen e1 was a good move. Could you be worse strategically here? Maybe white can wait and play like queen here. Then again, knight g3, knight d2, that same sequence again. White doesn't really want to take, but he does. Alright, so now you have a bad bishop, but you have nice control of d4. Yeah, I had some games recently where I played a little bit similar to how your opponent is playing. It's tough to play these positions very closed. It seems equal now. Now you play b5. But I'm not sure. You know, I'm not really sure. It feels like you should probably play for f5, but it's double-edged, and I'm not sure if it works or not. You try to turn it against him. I think you can do this. You know, I don't think he can sink. He can take this, can he? Maybe he can. Damn. How does he take this? He can take it and then defend. How does he defend? He's losing a piece, right? Yeah, he's losing a piece here. So it looks like you can play f5. I like that better than b5 now. Honestly, like, b5 is not a bad move. He's going to go here. He's going to put his knight on d5. This is more dynamic, kind of counter-attacking. So everyone left Denmark. Why is that, TK guy? It's too expensive or something? Just not enough chess? But it's centrally located, you know. Knight e3, and now bishop h6. Taxes. Yep, that's what I figured. The highest taxes, right? Now f5. It's a very dynamic position, but you have breaks with c4, and you can basically beat him to the punch here. If knight d5, you can keep the tension or you can play f4. And you might have this type of move. It's a very complex position, and I don't really know who's better. I'm going to guess the position is close, you know, but if you do something stupid, you could easily end up in like a clear, better position for white, where his knight is really, really strong. Even here you might have compensation though. But you have to try to be careful about that. Avoiding positions where the knight is like good and your bishop is bad. You played bishop h6, but I see a problem here. You know, clearly you've got a weakness on f6. Maybe it's not terminal. You can play f5. What about f5? How bad is this? Takes f5. He can't. What's wrong with f5? Nothing wrong with f5. Maybe you're too dogmatically afraid to weaken your king side. Of course, there's some risk involved. You're playing a master strength player. But you don't want to be too passive. And the thing is, this is almost like a defensive move. Basically what this is. Okay? This is not necessarily about aggressive attacking. If he paralyzes you down the f-file, you know, if he triples his heavy pieces on the f-file with a knight on f6, you're basically done, you know? So I think this is like preempting. It's a matter of, this move is almost like preempting him. Get in f5 before he can just paralyze you along the f-file. Yes, his bishop is strong generally, but your knight is sort of countering it. I don't think it's that bad. It's certainly becoming a dynamic position after that, though. Yeah, I'm surprised he went for this right away. If I were white, I don't know that I would have played knight f6 check. Honestly, his knight is so powerful. A lot of people probably would have played c4. And it's like, how are you ever going to get rid of that without allowing white to have a protected pass pawn? Though I don't know what you could have done to avoid that long term. It's still not decisive. c4 looks like a good move. The engine is up to knight f6 check, agreeing with him now. It likes c4 as well. I don't know. This move is, well, what I talked about being stymied on the f-file. You know, maybe he just like plays queen f2, rook f1, and you're like paralyzed forever. Maybe this is stronger than I thought. It's a nice move. Kind of a positional player, this guy. What about like rook c6 here? You're worse, but you can put up resistance. But I definitely want to trade pieces, if I can. Rook c6 looks okay. But now you're getting like paralyzed a little bit. You had a tactic. Oh no. Tricky. Wow. Damn. And this is apparently winning for white. That is almost lucky. Holy crap. So it's apparently winning for white after bishop takes e5 check. It's like, what? Because he happens to have bishop d6 at the end of the day, and neither of them saw it. That's really messed up. He wins back his material with interest. Oh my god. And he played this, and now you're alive again. Now it's like compensation. This is whoa. I don't know, man. You're getting a little bit frisky there. Got to be careful here. Maybe a5 is okay. Safety first. Yeah, I mean, clearly you want to break his structure. After b4, he can kind of lock it. You know, you only have a draw after a4, maybe. You want to get your rooks in and beat him. So c4. Another amazing tactic that both sides missed. White should see that. He's got plenty of time. There's really no excuse for white to miss rook takes c5 there. But you shouldn't have let him close the queen side. Now your rooks are no open files to get in. Trading queens is good. Now he's fighting for a draw. Get your king to the center, and you're slightly better. But it's a question if you can get through or not. Yeah, h5 was risky. I would definitely just get my king to the center first. And you just blundered the game. I mean, clearly you have to play rook h7 or h4. You blundered your h-pawn, and now he has g4. Oh, man. Now you can even lose, as we'll demonstrate. Maybe. No, it was a draw. Yeah, I mean, I frankly thought you're slightly worse here. I would definitely play like rook g4, rook f5, and start cranking my h-pawn or something. He might be winning. What's his last move? Yeah, rook h5. Stay. As long as you don't have some sort of c4 trick, white has chances to play for a win still. I would try. So I feel like you're lucky to get a draw. Anyway, guys, it's really late. I've got to go. Thanks, everyone, for supporting my stream. Please subscribe and donate. We will see you guys again tomorrow. Mr. Ponda's here. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being subscribers. Stay safe, everybody. Bye-bye.